Hey, well, good evening, everybody. It is Brad.
And I'm Christa.
Big Family Homestead.
Yeah.
I hope you are ready for some good news because let me tell you what, I slaved for many, few hours. No big deal.
Yeah.
To bring you some good news stories. We got some really interesting things.
Yeah.
There's one that I can't wait for you to read it.
Which one?
That one.
Oh, yeah. That's
gonna be good.
I already did read it, but
Yeah.
I can't wait to read it to you because it's really, really cute.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. The way this works is we stall for a little bit so more people can kind of come in.
Yep.
And then we read you some good news stories. It can be tech related, it can be historical, it can be a little of everything. And we have a little of everything tonight.
I think so.
So while we're waiting, let's go ahead and give you a recap of what's gone on this week. Our boy Caleb is back.
Oh, yeah. Caleb's back. And boy, oh, boy. 5 days gone with other teenagers.
He's a little snarky.
He's been a little snarky these last couple of days. He got home yesterday morning and
A little snarky.
yeah, he picked up some habits from some other kids, and I'm not really a fan of. So, not the kids, just the habits.
Yeah, we don't. Kids are fine.
The kids were great. Yeah, the leaders were awesome. The kids were great. They had an excellent time. Everybody was safe. Nobody got hurt. And, of course, I think one of the leaders, the gentleman leader, was a little sore today.
Oh?
Yeah, Larry.
Larry!
Yeah, I think he was a little sore today. So,
Time to reprogram him.
yep.
Or more like just kind of like pruning.
Yes. Pruning that's hard.
Pruning.
It hurts. Pruning is no fun.
But he's a good boy.
He's a good boy. He really is. You know, when it's like that with everybody. When you hang around with bad fruit, you turn bad.
They're not bad fruit either. They're
I'm just
they've
kidding.
got some bad habits
Yeah.
that,
That we're not a fan of.
Now he's brought them home.
Yeah. He's brought him home.
But we're glad to have him back.
Yes, we are.
Other stuff that's going on. Brad, man of the mountain, homesteader,
You're gonna start barking like Tim Allen.
I fixed the wood splitter. Yeah, kind of.
Fire splitter?
The wood splitter.
The wood splitter.
The log splitter.
Log splitter, yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
Kind of, not really. I
did.
replaced the engine.
Well, okay, but you replaced the carburetor first to see if that would fix it.
Because it was the cheapest route.
Because it was the cheapest route. It was what, $20 to change this carburetor?
And you would, folks out there, I know there's some professional mechanics. I think Swamp Picker is a professional mechanic. I'm not. I'm a professional nerd. If you look around, this is what I do. There's cameras everywhere. We're learning homesteading.
Yep.
That's the thing. We're learning these skills. And so for me to change out a carburetor was a little victory for me. It was like, oh, I have done manly things.
Well, and you changed the carburetor in the pressure washer too.
I did that.
Yeah.
And it was only $20.
Yeah.
It was
So
only
these
$20.
small engines are easy to swap. Well, I wouldn't know if it's easy, but it's inexpensive to swap out the carburetor versus an actual car.
Well, they're
carburetor,
a lot more money.
A lot more difficult to swap out. But
so it didn't work. The fixing of the carburetor, the swapping out. So we went to get a different, just a Harbor Freight engine, but it needed some finesse. Well, but I got it working.
Yeah. I think you did a fantastic job fixing
splitting.
that. It's splitting wood.
It's splitting.
Yeah.
It's splitting.
We're going to have to replace hoses on it probably next year because the hoses are relatively old.
You guys remember our buddy, our good pal?
The Don.
The Don.
Yes.
We traded him. I don't even know what we traded him for that.
No, I think we bought it. I think we bought it for a few $100s.
Well, who knows how long the Don had this particular splitter just sitting. It was years.
And we had to replace the engine when we got it. So,
it was, yeah.
But I can tell you, this is the inflation part. We've had that splitter 4 years now.
Yeah.
And we replaced the engine. shortly after we got it, and the engine then was $100. When we replaced the engine this time, it was $160.
Yep.
So there's no inflation, right?
It's not.
We're not in a recession.
No. The recession, the definition's been changed.
I know.
So
I know. So
we're not going to get into negative stuff.
no, of course not.
Because I could chase that rabbit around.
Negativity there. Negative.
I could chase that rabbit around, so we're not gonna. Other things. We got some wood from our buddy Ryan with his. He's got a wood miser, a mill, a wood mill, and we're gonna lock together 2 sheds. We've got the sheep shed and the horse shed, and we're gonna just roof over between them so we can have more space. Because here's the funny thing about barns. Here's something I've learned. When you're planning for your barn,
make it twice as big.
Make it twice as big, because you're going to fill it up, and you're going to fill it up a lot faster than you thought.
Yes. So we ran out of room in our barn. So we need to make more space outside for other things.
Unbelievable.
That are under cover.
Unbelievable.
So, because, you
don't want to wreck lawnmowers and things.
No, you don't want to, Yeah.
So we got that wood from him, and
he has so much cut wood at his house.
You would think that he could open up like a Home Depot.
Could open a Home Depot. But what he's doing is he's building their house
from scratch.
Yeah, so it's almost completely closed in, and as soon as they get it closed in and insulated, they're going to move in and finish it while they're living in it. So it's really cool. Really, really cool. Super impressed with how far they've come.
It is. It's really neat to watch from scratch.
Oh yeah.
And by from scratch, I don't mean like from seed, but he gets the logs. He'll go and get a load of logs from. He knows people all over, and he'll just get the logs and start cutting what he needs.
Right.
Like for example, he has and we were actually talking to him about it today. And he says, I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. But he's got a 16-foot long, 10 by 10 log.
Yeah. And true 10 by 10 log.
True 10 inches by 10 inches.
Not the stuff you would buy at the store. It's a true 10 by 10.
I mean, I don't know how much that would be, but I'm guessing that would have to be an $800 log just by itself.
Easy.
One log. And he's like, this depends on how big the tree is. I can cut it however you want it.
Yeah, it's insane.
So,
but we got true 2x4s from him today.
And if you're watching, we're very grateful.
Yes.
So thank you.
Very grateful.
Yep, he gave us a good deal.
Good deal.
A good deal. Yeah. Other stuff that's going on. We are now finally, for those of you who live south of here, you will not understand this. You're going to scratch your head and go, how is that possible? But we're just now getting harvestable vegetables out of our garden.
Yep. We only have about 100 days growing season. And that all depends on if it warms up enough in the springtime.
Yeah.
And we have enough rain, or there's warm enough weather. So we're getting tons of I don't like it when you do that. We're getting tons of squash now, which Hope's not a huge fan, but she'll eat it.
I made some crankingly good squash.
Oh my goodness,
the other
that
day.
squash, yellow squash and zucchini. He grills it on the griddle, and it is so good.
Grills
it on the griddle. Cooks it on the griddle.
Yeah, because you can get a large surface, and we just spray it down a little grapeseed oil.
So yummy.
Oh my gracious.
Yeah.
Yep, and then sprinkle it with just a little bit of Parmesan cheese.
Yep.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
What zone are we in?
3B.
or 3B?
3B. We're in 3B, so
It's
we don't have a long growing season. I'm hoping to be able to get the cucumbers soon. I know there's tomatoes out there, nothing red yet, but they're green. There's a bunch of green. So
what's kind of crazy though is our pepper plants, the wax.
They're rocking. The Hungarian.
The Hungarian wax peppers. They're all this big, and there's tons of them.
Yeah, and tons more flowers. So
We're
we put those in a good spot this year.
Yep. Other stuff. The horse. Dun,
Mr.
dun, dun.
Whiskey. Mr. Whiskey.
Whiskey.
He's a little spoiled right now.
Well, okay. Hope takes riding lessons from a professional. She's gone to school for this.
Yep.
Not just like a weekend warrior. Somebody knows what they're doing.
No, she went to 4 years of college to
Just
do
this.
Yes.
She has recommended, she loves the horse, but she said the horse is light, needs to put on some weight.
Yeah, he doesn't weigh what he should weigh. He should weigh 550 pounds at a year old. And when we got him, he was a little over 400. And we don't have a scale, but there's a tape that you can use to measure how big he is.
I just picked him up and then got on the scale.
Sure. No.
Hold still.
Hold still, Whiskey is wiggling around. We can't even get Brutus to hold still.
Yeah.
Let alone a horse. But he has gained in the last few weeks. She's adjusted his feed where he's getting alfalfa pellets that she waters down so that it poofs up, and then some grain. And he's gained, what did she say, 30 pounds?
30 pounds in the
last few weeks?
2 weeks.
Yeah. So he's at 480 pounds. So he still has a way to go.
Yep.
So.
But he's doing good.
Yeah.
He's a little pushy.
He loves his food.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. So what I do in the mornings and in the evenings is I go and get a treat, and I go and put him in his stall for Hope, so that when she comes out, she gets his food ready. That way he's not rushing the door.
Right.
And it's working out well.
Well, you guys are so funny. I've told you time and time again, the way to deal with animals is with food.
That's what I said.
No, I know. I'm
with a
agreeing
treat.
with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But it's taking you for. She used to chase animals around.
I don't chase animals
Now you
anymore.
just get a little bucket.
Yeah. Well, we had to chase Clover the other day. We didn't film that.
Oh, I didn't have my camera.
No.
Well, the horse wouldn't stop chasing our cow Clover, and she ran through the fence.
Yeah. She ran through the fence, ran down the driveway, across the road. Thankfully, we don't live on a busy road. Into the field across the street. And the neighbors were out trying to kind of push her back home. And we were on the ATV just kind of going around her to keep her from going north on the road. And
find her out on the highway.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Negative.
Yeah. So
that's
she's
whiskey.
Stuck.
That's what's going on with whiskey.
Yeah.
Two things. Well, there's going to be a lot of things. One thing, if you guys do not know, we have put a free forum on our website for you guys to communicate with each other, talk about chickens, talk about bees, talk about preparedness. If you want to share where you live so that you can maybe start to meet other people that are very similar thinking, that's there for you. All you got to do is go there and sign up. It's bigfamilyhomestead.com, and then you'll see it. There's a tab up on the top for the forum. And, what did he say?
He said, I didn't know alfalfa was supposed to be for horses. I did put on weight, though.
That's a friend of mine, Ryan.
We've known him for 30 years.
Yeah, he, let's
goodness.
just say, brace for impact. I shouldn't have told him we were going live. No, I'm kidding. He's my bud.
No, good friend. Like I said, we've known him for 30 years.
Some things. You just keep it clean, pal. Keep it clean.
Keep it family friendly. That's all I ask.
This is G-rated.
That's right.
Second thing, if you would please click the like button, the thumbs up thing, because that sends out more notification stuff. Because if you click the thing, YouTube will send out more notifications.
Yep.
So that said, ladies and gentlemen, here it's time. Oh yeah. Deep thoughts from the homestead. You laugh every time.
Because of what you're doing.
Deep thoughts. It was on Saturday Night Live when they weren't terrible.
It's hysterical. I know.
This is a time of the evening where you share what you've learned this week. Oh, what have you learned this week, folks? You out there. Ryan, type what you've learned. Yes, and keep it family friendly.
Right.
Scott learned, Brad, I broke the button.
Oh, no.
No, that's good. No, he means the like button.
I know, the thumbs up button.
Thank you.
I know.
What did you learn, Plan with Jen? What did you learn, ex-swagger? While we wait and listen to what Christa has
Jen
learned.
says, I'm here now. We can get started now.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. All right. So what did you learn this week?
I actually learned, I was trying to learn how to make cottage cheese, but I ended up making mini cheese curds.
Yes.
And they were really good.
They were.
So, and it was super easy. I wish I had known how to do this, and next time I make this, I'm not going to break up the curd super small like I did, because I was making cheese curds. Or no, I was making cottage cheese. So I will make it differently. And it was maybe an hour start to finish, and it's awesome. What is going on downstairs?
The children are being children.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
They're so loud.
Ruth,
Yes.
can you make the manly Tim Allen type sounds?
Yes, he can.
Probably not good enough.
Not as good as Tim Allen.
Ryan learned that alfalfa tastes really bad.
I like alfalfa sprouts.
I do not.
On sandwiches,
Negative. Negative Ghost
not
Rider. The
any
pattern is
other
full.
way. No.
You are not cleared for a flyby.
No.
So, she learned how to make cheese curds by accident.
Yeah. I was trying to make cottage cheese, and it turned out to be cheese curds.
Yep. And where was it? Bree learned how to order her half cow so she doesn't annoy her butcher anymore.
Nice.
That's nice. That's good.
I'm still learning how to order, like when we send an animal to the butcher, I'm
How
still
they want
trying what's the best way to get different cuts out of different parts of the cow. And we've butchered 6 or 7 animals.
Yeah.
I think. No, maybe like 4, but
So Tim learned how to trap raccoons.
Nice.
Lead poisoning. It's the only way to fly. I'm learning to ferment stuff, says Tara. Just started water kefir.
Love it. Love water kefir.
You do?
Oh yeah.
I would have rather had raw milk, but can't find any near me in Northwest Wisconsin. That seems almost impossible.
Well, you.
That area is definitely not as dairy as where we're at.
Yeah, probably not. But the problem is you can't buy raw dairy or
It's
raw
illegal.
milk from any farm in Wisconsin. It's ridiculous.
It's a household name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we're not happy about that.
No.
So I learned, ladies and gentlemen, that if you're a big fella, plumbing stinks. If you've got large bones, if your carriage is of a larger size, if you have a larger size carriage, if your caboose is as big as a moose, plumbing stinks.
Yeah. Yeah, so the faucet downstairs in the kitchen where we wash everything for milking and stuff like that, the faucet went bad and started leaking everywhere. And
I fixed it.
he fixed it. It just took
A long
several
time.
hours and some twisting and that
Of my body.
of his body that just is not meant to twist. So it was really, really difficult.
Yes.
I think that faucet's been there for maybe 30, 40 years.
I'm built for comfort, not speed. Nor bendiness. My bendiness scale number is probably a 2 out of 10.
Nice.
I'm not as bendy. So, anyway, don't forget about the forum on the website, because you guys can hook up and chat about all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you know what? I think it's time. I think we're ready to rock. You guys ready for some good news? That's when you say, yes, Brad. Of course we're ready for some good news.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have some good news for a change. Once. Ladies first.
Yes.
Get your readers.
I'm odd today.
Grammy, come on.
Yep, I am a grandma. All right. This first story is really, really hysterical, actually.
It is funny, actually.
It's really funny. Wildflower meadows are beautiful. So beautiful, in fact, that a village in Britain has found them Britain has found they act as natural speed traps from motorists slowing down to look at them. The village of Long Newton in Gloucestershire has a problem with fast moving through traffic between nearby towns. Almost all drivers moving through areas they frequent will break posted speed signs, and neither a 30-mile-an-hour limit or warning signs made any difference. Officials first planted flowers along the roadside during the pandemic, and they noticed that as well as attracting more wildlife, motorists also slowed down when they passed the flowers. The village between Tetbury and Malmesbury has traffic regularly traveling between them, and the small parish council receives limited funds from the government for traffic control measures. Putting two and two together, the village is now relying on its flowers to do the work that the road signs could not, paying for the blooms with crowdfunding in the village. While why exactly people slow down isn't entirely clear, evidence has shown that if you introduce things like wildflowers, drivers will slow down because they feel like they're coming into somewhere that's looked after, said Jenny Ford, cabinet member for health and well-being at the Cotsworth District Council. A crowdfunding campaign has raised almost £8,000 for traffic calming measures will be used to fund a 3-year care program for the wildflowers.
Wow.
According to the data, 90% of the motorists drive above the speed limit.
Oh.
Yowza.
That's
Yowza.
interesting. I wonder if it has anything to do with, are they smelly flowers? Are they good smelly flowers?
I don't know.
Because if it was, I'd roll my window down.
Right. I think it's just, I think they're thinking that it's a well cared for area, that would make sense. Or they just want to stop and watch the roses or watch the flowers, you know.
Well, you know, I do know that there are places all around the country that will plant sunflowers, and people stop and they'll even get out of their cars and go take pictures.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Very funny, Scott. I didn't see that. They're confused because they don't know miles. Hey, watch it, man. There's a lot of Europeans that watch this.
That's funny.
Yeah, but what are they going to do?
Yeah.
They're not coming after you now, are they?
Nope.
This is really cool. A man is being honored by a city as a hero after he charged into a house that had turned into a raging inferno to rescue a young girl. This guy. A late night argument was his girlfriend. That's not worded properly.
No.
There was an argument. Let's just say that. There was an argument. Running inside, he cries, allegedly woke 4 children and a family friend from their sleep. The oldest of 5, 18-year-old Siona Barrett, had gathered together her siblings and prepared to go down the stairs from the second floor when they encountered Nick. Outside, however, Sienna told Bostic that her 6-year-old sister was not with them. Running inside through the back door, Bostic described the fire in Lafayette, Indiana home as having created a black lagoon of smoke on the ground floor. But after checking all the bedrooms on the second floor, they still had not found the youngster. He moved to a window to the exit of the house when he heard a child's cry coming down the stairs. He knew that there was very little time to get the child out, and even though the fire and smoke downstairs frightened him, he would not quit. Wrapping a t-shirt around his mouth, he crawled through the blackness following the sound of the girl's cries. Then he found her and proceeded back through the smoke, ran upstairs, smashed a window with his bare hand, and jumped down out onto the lawn where the fire and rescue team had arrived and were beginning the work of putting out the fire.
My.
Bostic suffered first-degree burns, a serious cut on his arm, and smoke inhalation, and would be airlifted to the hospital. The child was completely unharmed.
Oh, wow.
A GoFundMe was made for Bostic's medical bills by his cousin, which shattered the $100,000 goal by amassing $556,000.
Holy smokes.
For a hero whom the city plans to honor at the next Lafayette Aviators minor league baseball game. Bostic says the experience brought him a new lease on life that has him ready to play football or drift a sports car. Indeed, he spent enough time in that burning house to have saved several lives before his own life flashed before his eyes.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I want to say that I read somewhere that this guy was a pizza delivery guy. Now, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But how cool is that, you know? Wow.
Goodness.
I mean, you never know until you're tested
You're right.
if you would do the heroic thing.
Right.
Man, I just hope I would be that guy.
I know. Me too.
I
Not
hope
that
you never are being
No.
a guy, because
No, I hope that I could do that as well. You goofball.
I don't ever want you to be a guy.
No, I will never be a guy
Can't.
because I'm a girl.
Couldn't.
No, not
Your
not
chromosomes
possible.
don't agree.
Not at all. No. And with that, we're going to move on to the next story. Ed was in big trouble. The owing money kind of trouble. In Baltimore in those days, being in debt could get you arrested, and Ed was, and he was. As little as $5 of red ink on someone else's books could send you to jail. Ed owed $80. And so it was with a hard prison sentence, cold staring him in the face, that Ed did the one thing that he dreaded more than anything else in the world. He wrote a letter to his father. Well, it was his foster father, actually. Ed had been orphaned before he was 3, and the two had never been on particularly good terms. Over the years, the rift widened to the point of incommunication. But Paul, as Ed called him, was well off. The money itself would not be missed should he offer it. It remained then, in the bleak December, for Ed to crash through the barriers of pride and prejudice with well-chosen words if he were to avoid hearing the bells of the New Year's through prison walls. It was in this spirit of contrition that Ed began his letter to Paul. I am sure you would not refuse to assist me if you were well aware of the distress I am in. How often you have relieved the distress of a perfect stranger in circumstances less urgent than mine. This was no mere request for a loan. This was an outright, unreserved, unabashed, bended knee plea. Ed goes on, if you wish me to humble myself before you, I am humble. Sickness and misfortune have left me not a shadow of pride. It was a desperate last resort. Ed had tried everything that he could think of to raise the necessary $80, and nothing worked. Other family members, themselves poor, had petitioned Ed's foster father, assuring him that the young man was otherwise free of debt, that he had always been very kind to them to the extent that his own poverty permitted. Well, Paul had indeed put hard feelings aside, had actually written a letter of his own to a businessman in Baltimore instructing him to give Ed the money that he needed and $20 additional to keep him out of further difficulties. But do you know what? For some reason nobody recalls, Paul forgot to mail the letter. No, Ed did not go to jail. It seems a distant cousin, learning of his predicament, raised the cash just in time. But here's the thing that I was leading up to. Ed could have avoided trouble altogether if he could have paid off that two-year-old $80 debt the moment it came due with a $100 prize from a short story contest sponsored by the Philadelphia Saturday Courier. If he could have won that $100 first prize money, he would have had no problem. And Ed knew the contest and he did enter the contest. As a matter of fact, he was so eager to earn the money that he entered 5 stories in that contest. But all 5 stories lost. The cash prize history records went instead to a Mrs. Delia Bacon for a solitary entry called Love's Martyr. Authoress Delia Bacon was never heard from again. But the young man who might have bailed himself out of trouble with a good enough story, but who just couldn't write to save his life, became America's master storyteller, Edgar Allan Poe. He has got some creepy stories.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah. But that's interesting. Very interesting.
So he couldn't win a short story contest.
No, with 5 stories.
Entries.
5 entries he couldn't win.
Couldn't do it.
No. But he becomes a very
everybody knows
very famous author. So,
oh my gosh.
Goodness gracious.
Telltale Heart. Scary stuff.
That is a scary one. I don't like that one.
All right. An incredibly rare sea creature. Here he is. Boom. We don't need to wait on this one. An incredibly rare sea creature was saved from the jaws of death after restaurant workers were struck with its unusual colors and called experts for a second opinion. The bright orange lobster arrived in a shipment at Red Lobster Restaurant in Hollywood, Florida, where an alternative universe would have seen it cooked on a plate. But this one in particular was saved from becoming someone's date night dinner when staffers noted the unusual golden coloring. They called Ripley's Aquarium in Myrtle Beach, who sent 2 members of its husbandry team to inspect the crustacean. Sure enough, they identified her as an orange lobster, a 1 in 30 million find. Sometimes ordinary miracles happen, and Cheddar is one of them. I guess that's what they named
They named her Cheddar.
I'm guessing.
Hysterical.
Said Mario Roque, a manager at Red Lobster who led the rescue of Cheddar. How do you... Well, okay. They took it from this tank and gave it to them.
Instead of releasing it into the wild.
Instead of eating it.
Yeah.
Okay, because they took it to an aquarium. Anyway, sorry.
Well,
Sorry,
now it can
squirrel.
live on forever and never get eaten.
They don't... Whatever. Okay. The restaurant admitted that they were incredibly proud of Mario for recognizing and ultimately rescuing her. It's now found a forever home at the aquarium, whose staff said they are grateful that the Red Lobster team recognized how special she was. She was named Cheddar after Red Lobster's famous Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Not because she's orange and cheddar cheese is orange usually.
No.
Good Lord.
That's enough of that one.
Yeah.
They just go on and on. But I'll tell you what,
gosh.
it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
That the pigmentation of that one's what saved its life.
Right. Well, it's funny because you're like, well, there she is. I'm like, well, that looks like every other lobster. What's so spectacular?
They're more reddish.
Well, only when they're cooked. When they're fresh, when they're still alive, they have like a grayish color.
Yeah.
So it just struck me because she looks red to me.
Already done.
I don't know what gender it is. It's a lobster, it's I'm not looking at the plumbing, so.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing I think is funny is that they're calling it like a rescue.
Well,
the Red Lobsters,
it is pretty rare.
But they keep them in aquariums there in Red Lobster.
Well, yes, but it was caught from the wilderness.
And then they got it at the restaurant.
Right.
So then they just said, hey, I think we got something rare here. Call the aquarium. And they came to get it. How's that a rescue?
Because it was not eaten. Yeah. And she gets to live forever
Cheddar.
in a cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's our list?
Oh, it's time to tell them.
I know. Where's the list? What's the list? What's on the list? I forgot.
You were going to tell them about, because today's the last day of the 10%
so
sale.
If you go on our website and you sign up for the forum, check out our store. Everything is still 10% off. It's BFH10. Today's the last day, so don't miss out. If there's something you want to get and you want to save a few bucks, there it is.
Larry the Lobster.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, and also if you want to just help out and you don't really want to buy anything, Patreon really helps us out. Because none of this stuff is free. So
right.
The end. There's the end of the commercial. So help us out if you can. If not, no bitterness.
No, not at all.
No rage, no malice, none of it.
No.
Thank you in advance. All right. So ready?
Yeah. Okay. Once upon a time, on East Long Street in Columbus, Ohio, there was a barber shop. The barber's name was Elijah Pierce. Now, in the old days, East Long was the main boulevard in the city's urban section. Excuse me. Then urban renewal turned the street into a 4-lane highway. The neighborhood slowly disappeared, and eventually Elijah's barbershop and the beauty parlor across the way were the only small businesses left. Elijah Pierce cut hair in Columbus for more than 100 years. Like Floyd's barbershop in Andy Griffith's Mayberry, Elijah's establishment was a community meeting place, a dispensary for gossip, a comfortable, dependable fixture in a rapidly changing world. Between haircuts, Elijah whittled. He kept a small wood box under his barber chair. Whenever business was slow or the fellows in the shop just wanted to talk, Elijah would take out a piece of wood. He would remove the penknife from its permanent home in his right-hand pants pocket, and he'd sit back in the barber chair and carve. Sometimes Elijah gazed at a piece of wood for a long, pensive while before deciding upon an appropriate transformation. And then one by one, the chips would fall into the old man's lap. Slowly, a little wooden figure, whatever had struck Elijah's fancy, would emerge. You should have heard Elijah talk about his boyhood. He grew up on a farm in Mississippi. In fact, his daddy was a former slave. Elijah had enjoyed carving with his pocket knife back in Mississippi too, mostly on tree trunks, the outlines of birds and horses and hearts pierced with arrows, and he learned to cut hair back home, cut his daddy's hair and his brother's hair first, then took care of the children who lived on the neighborhood farms in the nearby town of Baldwin. There was a barber who was getting on in years. One day he took ill and began asking around if anyone would fill in for him at the shop. So folks told him about young Elijah, and the job was offered, eagerly accepted. And when his employer eventually retired, Elijah inherited the business. One rarely saw a white barber in those parts in those days. It was the clientele of each shop which varied. And there was one upward path in the barber's world back from the black shop to the white shop. And Elijah made the transition easily, although when he came to Columbus in 1924, he settled comfortably on East Long Street. He stayed there to the end of his barbering career. He stayed there 50 years, more than 50 years, retiring at 87 years old. Kept whittling, though, and it was only after his death in 1984 that Elijah crossed East Long Street. You see, his wood carvings started selling for thousands of dollars a piece. And then came the succession of exhibitions and permanent collection at the Columbus Museum of Art for Elijah Pierce. Today, art critics call his lifetime achievement the world's last great primitivist art by Elijah Pierce. Elijah Pierce.
Very cool.
And you just met the man who whittled it all between haircuts.
I've never even heard of him as an artist.
I hadn't either. So after we're done here, I'm going to look up, see what
some of his art.
Some of his art, yeah.
Very cool.
Because what's funny is I grew up in Columbus and never heard of him. So, but of course
Apparently you didn't need a
he
lot of
died
haircuts.
in 1984, so I was still young. Well, I was only, didn't need a lot of haircuts. Yeah.
Got it.
That's funny.
Okay, let's see. When an Arizona mom lost her hair during a third brain cancer battle, a shaggy-maned son stepped up, shears in hand, to offer a solution. Growing golden, luscious locks out of her past shoulder length, he chopped it all off to provide a stylish hairpiece for his mom. Melanie,
Wow.
excuse me, Melanie Shaha doesn't mind being sick, but she does mind looking sick. For 15 years, you never would have known that Melody had a benign cancer tumor on her pituitary gland. 2 successful surgeries in 2003 and 2006 could not get rid of the tumor. And in 2017, she was prescribed radiation therapy. 3 months after starting her new treatment, she lost all her hair.
My.
Not having hair, you stick out like a sore thumb. And well-meaning people can say things that break your heart, Melanie told USA Today. However, what started as a joke by Melanie's 27-year-old son, Matt, around the dinner table in 2018 soon became a plan. Matt had recently graduated from university with a dress code that limited hair length and was looking forward to a bit of time au naturel. He agreed he would grow hair out and make a wig for his mom, who admittedly attempted to dissuade him as the inches accumulated. Then, on March 21st, he chopped off 1 foot of hair that the family sent off to Compassionate Creations, a Newport Beach, California hairpiece company that made new hair for Melanie. The color is spectacular, and we had it cut and styled with a hairdresser, she said, adding that it was something special to go through with her son. Matt said, "It looks great on me. It sure fills up your emotional cup."
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That is awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Goodness. It's got some good waves, some good
I know.
curls to
I'm
it,
just
too.
taking a look at the guy. He's a handsome dude. I bet his mom is very proud.
I would imagine. All right. This story, I actually laughed out loud when I read this. This is, and I don't know the stories until I read them. Brad picks them all out. So, but I chuckled quite a bit at the end. Well, an inmate we're going to call Evelyn was an escape artist. Since hers was a life sentence, there seemed little harm in trying to break out. The worst they could do was send her back to solitary for a while. And she was getting used to that. So every chance she got, Evelyn took a shot at freedom. She had been incarcerated 2 years when she planned her first escape. She had confided in none of the other inmates. She just, knowing what the end of this story is makes me chuckle. She just noticed that construction workers had left handholds high up on one outer wall and forgot to remove them. So one evening, when nobody was looking, Evelyn jumped up, hung on, and crawled over. Later apprehended, the prisoner was returned to her cell. The helpful handholds were then removed. Evelyn had learned her lesson, the warden said, and that was so. Evelyn had learned that if she intended to break out and stay out, she must be more clever next time. And she was more clever next time. But somehow the authorities kept catching up with her, and she ended up back in the big house. As of the year 1986, escape artist Evelyn had been serving time for 10 years. And yet she was more accustomed to imprisonment than she had been in the beginning. By November, however, she enlisted the aid of an accomplice, a fellow inmate named Lionel. I'm just going to say Lionel. I think that's how that's pronounced. And on the 19th, in broad daylight, Evelyn and Lionel were out in the exercise yard by the rock pile. They looked up at the 12-foot outer wall, noticed indentations which were considerably out of reach. That is, they were out of reach for a person standing beneath them, but not beyond the grasp of someone standing on the shoulders of someone else. Evelyn looked at Lionel. Both of them understood that under such circumstances, only one could escape, and that one would be Evelyn. Her friend hoisted her up, perched atop Lionel's shoulders. Evelyn stretched, struggling to reach the lowermost indentations in the wall. And she was not out 5 minutes before being spotted and apprehended again, and back in solitary again for the night. And the next day, those indentations on the wall were cemented smooth, and the wall itself was made higher. But there was a hand-sized notch left. It was one so high that officials were unconcerned, and yet one just low enough for the breakout team of Evelyn and Lionel, so on the 21st, Evelyn again used her partner as a ladder. She was gone rather a long time this time, but she was still captured and, sighing despondently, was brought back. She was returned to the institution where it would appear she would spend the rest of her life. Or will she? I mean, the outer walls, top to bottom, were now smooth as painted glass and higher than ever. That should hold Evelyn from now on, authorities say, and yet, even if that's so, before the case is closed, there is one more thing you should know. Evelyn's accomplice is no female. Lee is he. He loves her, and she has been using him to escape. She has been able to flirt and convince him to stand against the wall that confines them, while she gets up, gets over, and gets out, though he remains confined. Officials say that Evelyn is making eyes at Lionel again. She's planning something, and what Evelyn wants, she usually gets. Oh, and by the way, Evelyn and Lionel are 200-pound low-line gorillas. Their prison is the Los Angeles Zoo.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Sneaky little ones.
Well,
man.
And it's kind of like a little microcosm of guys who are just so smitten with their girls.
Of course,
that
they'll do whatever.
They'll do whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Too funny. Too funny.
Evelyn. Mm-hmm. She should just
She's
like
a
him.
Bad girl.
Just like him.
Yeah.
She's
Be content. Stay there.
Well,
so funny.
I don't think you can rewire that.
No.
No,
she wants freedom. I mean,
Okay.
So.
Okay.
It's the last story of the evening.
All righty, guys.
This one's really cool, too.
They were the new folks in town. They had to be, because the hardware store proprietor had never seen them before. And after all, sooner or later, he saw everybody in those parts. And sure enough, Gladys Love Smith promptly introduced herself to the man behind the counter. She was new to the area. Her husband drove a truck for McCarthy's grocery store. She explained, "And this," she said, "is my boy." Well, the proprietor, Mr. Forrest Bobo, that's not a joke, looked over the edge of the counter and looked down and said, "Hello there." And the child smiled back. Gladys leaned in closer to Mr. Bobo. Today was the youngster's birthday, she explained. He was 11. He'd been asking for a bicycle, but for a family struggling to make ends meet, a bicycle was just too expensive. Could the proprietor suggest something else? But before Gladys or Mr. Bobo realized it, the boy was already browsing the aisles of the store. It was more of a general store, really, a wide variety of items for which to choose. At any rate, when Mother found the little fellow, he was looking up, straight, staring, transfixed at something displayed on a rack just out of his reach. It was a .22 caliber rifle. Well, I mean a real .22 rifle. Gladys gasped. "You come away from there," she exclaimed. But the wild-eyed child standing there was utterly somewhere else, mesmerized. Maybe, in his imagining, he was in a sunny field, planking tin cans from the tops of fences or fence posts, Come away from there, his mother repeated. You can't have that gun. Mr. Bobo arrived just in time for the tantrum.
Oh, goodness.
First there was the whining, then the why not, then, but I'll be real careful, then the fit of temper. If he couldn't have the rifle, the youngster declared, then he didn't want anything for his birthday. He didn't want a birthday at all. Gladys turned to Mr. Bobo apologetically. Her son wasn't like this, she told the proprietor. Her son, in fact, hated arguing. Often to avoid conflict, he would give his toys to other children. But for some reason, today was different. He had to have that gun, and Gladys never had seen her son so utterly determined about anything. The matter had to be resolved. Let me tell you how the mother resolved it. While she still could not simply afford to buy a bicycle for her son's birthday, she would not tolerate a dangerous firearm for the 11-year-old. She proposed another completely unrelated birthday present. It cost $7.75. The boy reluctantly acquiesced. What you've heard happened once upon a winter's day many years ago, January 8th, 1946. A proprietor of the store in Tupelo, Mississippi would never forget it because of what came of it. What came of it was the spontaneous purchase of a $7.75 guitar and the concern of a doting mother named Gladys Love Smith Presley. And of course, you remember her son, Elvis. Mm-hmm. You've also heard that Gladys had a profound influence on her son's life. Well, now you know. She truly did. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. Golly. Whoa.
You know, simple little things. Mm-hmm. What if he had broken her down and she let him got the gun? You got to wonder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would the world have been the same for him? It would have been
different. It would have been so different.
Yeah. Crazy, huh?
Golly.
Anyhow, folks, so
funny.
There it is. We are going to call it an evening, but before we do, let them know about the sale again.
Yep. Our website, bigfamilyhomestead.com. Use the coupon code when you check out BFH10.
Uh-oh, I hear thunder.
There's a hurricane coming up the door.
There's Nana.
Sit. Nana, sit.
That
Good
means
girl.
Brutus is shortly
behind. BFH10 is the coupon code, so don't miss out if there's something that you want to get, because the sale ends today. So
they're running. We got to go.
Brutus is in play mode, and he wants to play. And when he wants to play, everyone has to play.
Oh, you will play.
Otherwise, he will talk to you, and he's like that bratty child in the store.
Well,
and he starts pitching a fit. He really does, actually. He starts... It's so cute.
He sure does.
Yeah. So anyway.
That said,
yeah.
Have a great night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Does not wisdom come? Does not understanding raise her voice on the heights beside the way? Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than the gain from silver, and her profit is better than gold. does not wisdom come?